Psyche was so beautiful that even Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, began to envy her. Admired by the beauty of the girl, people worshipped her, and some completely forgot about Aphrodite. Aphrodite was getting angry at this situation day by day and making plans. The goddess Aphrodite asked her son, Eros, the master of love, to destroy men's desires for Psyche and make the girl fall in love with the most disgusting and ugliest creature that existed on earth. Eros set out. When he reached his destination, he drew his bow and aimed at Psyche. However, Eros could not fulfill this wish because he fell in love with Psyche as soon as he saw her. Psyche's older sisters got married, and it was her turn to get married. However, despite the many men she came across, she did not marry any of them and was waiting for a man she would love. Her family, who was very upset that their daughter could not marry anyone, consulted a priest of Apollo about finding a husband for their daughter. The priest told Psyche's family to leave their daughter on the edge of a cliff, and that their daughter would marry an ugly monster who would come to this edge and whose face she would never see. Psyche's family did what the oracle said, albeit with sadness. They dressed their daughter in a wedding dress and left Psyche on the edge of the cliff, with a group of people who looked like a wedding procession, but were actually lamenting. In fact, it was Eros who met with Apollo and asked for a message to be sent to Psyche's family through the priest to leave their daughter on the edge of the cliff. Psyche attempted to jump from the edge of the cliff where she was abandoned, but as soon as she jumped, Zephyr, also known as the West Wind, caught her and took her to the castle, protected by a spell tied to the cotton thread that Eros had woven to hide her. Here she would be distant in the eyes of Aphrodite, and the goddess of beauty would think she was dead. Eros came to the castle, and they lived together in this castle as a happy couple in love. However, Eros had only one request from Psyche. She could never see Eros's face in daylight, or even know who he was. Since Psyche considered it valuable enough to live with the man she loved in a castle full of tranquility and beauty, away from the eyes of all the gods, she did not mind never seeing him and not knowing who he was. Their love was legendary. Eros only came to the castle at night, because the light of the sun could cause Psyche to recognize Eros during the day. That's why they spent a long time without even seeing each other, without experiencing their love in the light of day. During this time, Psyche was content. She even started writing letters to her family in her old house and talking about her life there. After a while, Psyche became pregnant. The only question on her mind was how she would raise a baby with a man she had never seen. Receiving these letters, her family was at first happy to learn that Psyche was alive, happy and prosperous. However, her jealous sister wanted to visit her. She wanted to end Psyche's happiness and break things off with Eros. When her journey ended, she jumped from the same cliff that Psyche had once jumped from, and Zephyr rescued her just as he had saved Psyche and carried her to the palace. Seeing Psyche's life here, her sister wanted to have that life, and her jealousy was fueled even more. She thought of a lie that would break things up between them. She told Psyche that she could not raise a baby with a man she had never seen, and that man was actually a disgusting dragon. Psyche had never thought that those wings she had touched for a long time could belong to a dragon. But the seed of doubt was planted in his mind. She decided to do whatever she could to see her lover. While Eros was sleeping, she quietly approached him and looked at his face with the help of a candle light. She saw with happiness and horror at the same time that the creature she saw was not a dragon. She recognized God Eros instantly. To whom else could such a beautiful face belong? As she returned with the sadness of being deceived and the hopelessness of not being able to compensate for the betrayal she had committed against his lover, a drop of melted wax fell from the candle in her hand onto Eros. Eros woke up in surprise and instantly understood what had happened. He was greatly disappointed. In great despair, he told Psyche that the palace he had built would be destroyed, and the secrecy spell, which was the only way to protect him from Aphrodite, would disappear along with the palace, because the only source of magic was that Psyche did not know who Eros was. Finally, how can a god and a mortal love each other equally? He spread his wings and walked away, never to see Psyche again. But Psyche didn't give up. She even went out to find Eros. However, since the secrecy spell was broken, her search was interrupted by Aphrodite not long after. Aphrodite was very angry that the girl she thought was dead was still alive, and she assigned the girl to 3 impossible tasks. Her first task was to sort a pile of seeds larger than Psyche's size into 5 different species in just one night. Psyche set about the task desperately. Just as she was about to give up, the ants sent by Zeus, the king of the gods, instantly categorized all the seeds, because Zeus showed that he was on Eros's side and wanted a beautiful love life from him. The second task was to bring the wool of a sheep that was impossible to catch. This time, a river god helped Psyche to show his closeness to Eros and told her to use the wool the sheep left on the branches while running. Her third task was to persuade Persephone, queen of the underworld, to place her beauty in a box. A voice told her to give barley cakes to Kerberos, the guardian of the underworld, and a gold coin to the boatman who would cross the river Styx. Thus Psyche, who managed to enter the underworld, impressed Persephone with her determination, and Persephone gave her what she wanted. Having completed her last task, Psyche was about to enter Aphrodite's palace when her curiosity got the better of her and she opened the box. But instead of beauty, the box was filled with sleep. As soon as the box was opened, Psyche fell into a deep sleep. Eros flew to the sleeping Psyche and gently woke her up. She told him he was wrong. Her fearlessness and ability to face the unknown without hesitation made her more than a god, he said. Later, Eros went to Zeus and convinced him to help them. Zeus first warned Aphrodite never to harm Psyche again. He then held a meeting with the other gods and gave Psyche the ambrosia that would make her immortal, in other words, the nectar and only food of the gods. In this way, she became immortal in the presence of all gods. Eros and Psyche got married with a great celebration and feast. From then on, they even had a child named Hedone.